that Rizal ass. Hey man, I can kill y'all, man. Y'all ain't got no conflict resolution skills, do you? I kill either one of y'all, huh?
I don't give a damn.
Hello to quality
Just letting you know.
at Marco's. Hello to being a game changer, an original. And to those who make it authentic, we say hello with the Founder Select Pizza. Old World pepperoni, sliced Italian sausage, mushrooms, on dough made fresh every day, and a sauce from the original Gianmarco recipe. Hello to an Old World original. Every store, every day, the Italian way. Hello, Primo.
Serving the families of Clark County and the surrounding area since 1966. It's Mitchell Funeral
I had the show.
Understanding that
Almost 5 years. Yep. April 4th will make 5 years.
They offer cremations, funeral plannings.
Are you fucking serious?
Time fly when you having fun, I guess.
Funeral Home,
Damn.
870-246-2611. Mitchell Funeral Home. Quality you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offers me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal.
Yeah, my Samsung about to be I'll to get that next week.
Nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me. Kick Above. Call 508-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above,
You from the county, you went to Mills.
I did.
Where you
From the city, 04. From the city, but I was in the tag program, so they plus good scene.
Oh, okay.
I stayed in Red Oak, though, my senior year.
Oh, you said Red Oak this?
Right there before you get to...
Yeah, I know Red Oak down by Hickey Switch. Hickey Switch and Riceville. Right under the cut. Yeah. Who your folks?
my mom is Regina Miller. My dad, Lee Coulter.
Hey, this is Reggie Swinton, former Dallas Cowboy football player, and I'm starting my own radio
You came out 04. What are you,
33. I'm born in 85, so 33, 34, somewhere there.
This is one show you will not want to miss. Join me every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Myself and Mike bring you the latest and greatest news on the youth around Central Arkansas, around the state of Arkansas, right here on JoyNetRadio.com. You got it. He's Rock's answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers.
We're working on conflict resolution skills today, man. You ready?
Our issues,
Ready?
our solutions, using our voices.
I don't want to kill one of you niggas today, man.
Could you please stop using the N-word in front of me?
What, nigga? You want me to call you a nigga? Or you don't want me to call you like one of them? You one of them niggas. You don't want to be called a nigga, but you don't mind being treated like one. Okay, my bad. I ain't gonna call you a nigga no more. Shut up, though. Turn around. Do your shit. I ain't doing nothing for you. That's the kind of nigga you are, huh? Uncle Ruckus, what's wrong?
See, I'm a quiet assassin.
Yeah, okay, Uncle Ruckus.
Just letting you know.
Uncle Ruckus. See Uncle Ruckus?
I'm just letting you know. All right, what's happening? It is Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. If you want to join the show, Mr. Webb is coming here already trying to antagonize me.
Would never do such a thing, my brother.
Is your mic on?
Did you turn my mic off? You
Huh?
a hater.
You see what happens when you antagonize me?
So he cut it off.
Yeah. You see how that works?
You haterific.
You see how that works?
You haterific.
I get revenge.
You haterific.
I don't turn the other cheek.
Uncle Ruckus, quit being
Okay?
haterific.
Revenge is a dish that is best served ice
Look
cold.
at Dave. They look all sinister.
Just letting you know, bro.
Dave, you scared me.
You messing with the wrong black man.
Dave, you know what happened? Because black folk ain't got no conflict resolution.
I
I would
know.
kill you up in
I
this
know.
mother.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm letting you know up front. So when you get that knife in your back, you'll know why you got it.
Oh, my God. Chief Humphrey, can you come over here and teach us some conflict resolution?
Because we don't know how to
Because we don't
resolve
know how
our
to resolve our
issues.
issues.
You know?
We just ignorant like that.
You know, I'm just saying.
We just ignorant. We didn't. Are we gonna be? They gonna let us into Pierre Noir? They gonna let us in?
The who?
The Black Social Club. Because I think Chief in that. That's what he's saying. Only people in the social club know how to do that.
I don't join clubs. I'm not a joiner.
I'm just saying.
I'm not a joiner. I'm sorry. I walk to the beat of my own drummer.
No Starbucks today, man. You see that, right?
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Just for you, dog. Just for you.
I'm so proud of
I
you.
went to the little store across the way. Just for you, man.
Whatever.
Find me a black coffee shop.
Hey, I didn't say anything, bro.
Find me a black coffee shop. If anybody know of a black coffee shop,
You know what?
hit me up.
I'll tell you what. That'd be a great business opportunity.
Hey, by the way, if you break your
Oh,
screen,
I know where one is.
Where?
Yeah. What's the name of the place on Canis and Rodney Parham? That
You talking about Jimmy?
yeah, Jimmy Morris's place.
Well,
Okay.
No, not
see,
really.
See, you just did what black people do.
No.
It ain't really what I want. They don't have vanilla cappuccino over there.
Exactly. Why am I gonna go somewhere and have what I want?
How do you know? Have you been there?
Yeah, I went over there and had a cup of coffee. But you know, they serve like the little, like the espresso stuff, right? I want coffee.
They serve Cuban coffee.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of what's the word my mama used? It's kind of bougie.
Boy, you bougie.
Excuse me. I
get you not. That's that beer coming up from this morning for breakfast, right?
He ain't coming up. He ain't coming up. You better ask him, buddy. I couldn't drink no beer.
All right, we need to stop acting. But anyway,
we gotta quit that. We gotta stay. We
got a guest in there. He's probably thinking.
He probably said, "I don't even know why I came over here."
But just want to remind people that you can catch Black Focus Radio on multiple forms now. Of course, don't forget to download the podcast. We're getting a lot of hits on the podcast, so I appreciate everybody who is listening to the show. But go out to your prospective podcast platform and you can catch Black Focus Radio. I got a new iPad yesterday, and I actually went out to Apple Podcast and typed in Black Focus Radio, and booyah! There we were. So we're on all of the major platforms, so I'm really excited about that as well. We've got a guest coming up here in just a moment. We'll talk to him. Lee Miller, who is running for State Representative District 34. We'll get an eye on what he's got on the agenda. I'm also going to ask you the question, what the hell is the Education Defense League of Arkansas?
I have no idea.
Well, apparently they're new, and we'll talk about that. And Kamala Harris dropped out of the race the other day.
Yahoo!
And I had an interesting conversation yesterday afternoon with a young sister who is about to graduate from Philander Smith College, who took a year off to work in her campaign, and she got upset with me.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell folks later. She got upset because one of the things I said, well, part of the problem, black folks wasn't going to vote for Kamala Harris anyway because who she was married to. I can't believe you said that.
I don't really give a damn who you marry. I don't give a damn who
Well,
you marry.
we'll
Who you
talk
sleep with,
about
all
that.
My thing is, you just can't do black folk wrong and think I'm gonna support you.
Well,
I can't ever. Do that.
and that's part of what she claims that all the stuff that was being said about Kamala Harris was wrong.
I really think moving forward though, black folk period. Anybody who said there was a prosecuting attorney, you should automatically not vote for them. You just can't do it. If you watch all these crazy movies and you see that the prosecuting attorney could go, this is nonsense. Get this out of my office.
They do it all the time when in
they
cop
don't do
shootings.
it. They don't do it. So how can you ever vote for a prosecuting attorney?
Hold your water till we
get
to that part.
Why you be getting me all worked up?
This is called previewing.
That's what this is.
We've only been doing this almost 5 years. You ought to be used to this by now. I'm just saying.
You talk a lot of trash, man. You know
saying.
what?
That's
You know what? You talk a lot of trash. You know what? This could be a homicide up in here. This could be number 48.
Yours?
Yours. Oh, we have a double?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, okay. I look scared, don't I? All right, let's do some black facts.
Dynamic black facts. Our culture, our history.
Hey, you want to bring that? You want to bring that chair over here?
No, it's cool.
You want to bring that chair?
All right, today's black facts. Because my big thing is, why is it that black people simply don't support black businesses, and I've made them.
I don't like it when you say that. I don't like it when you say that, man. You make the assumption.
Are you interrupting my black facts?
I'm not interrupting your black fact. I'm interrupting your poor fact. The point is, you make the assumption that black people don't support black business. We're limited in what black businesses we can support. If we don't eat with them, if we don't buy their soap,
You see how I'm looking at you?
what else can we do? Get our car washed?
I'm trying to do my black fact.
Okay,
right
go
now,
ahead.
Okay, and
Go
then
ahead.
you can do your little editorial all you want.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right, please continue.
This is not a moment where you interrupt the show.
Please continue, black brother.
All right, thank you, black brother. All right. So here's a article. It's called "How Whites Lynched Black Business Owners to Kill the Competition," and many scholars would suggest this is why, in part, black people don't open black businesses, and black people don't support black businesses because of an innate fear of what happened in history.
Kill them with their love.
All right. So, during the reparations debate in the Judiciary Committee subcommittee, Julianne Malveaux, which is a fantastic sister, smart black economist, testified. She made the point. She says, in Wilmington, North Carolina, Republicans and black people came together to form a fusion government, and white folks were so frightened that they took all the prominent black men in that town, arrested them, the next morning gave them tickets to leave town. They had to leave their property, their livelihoods, their families, and everything. This is why we need reparations. She continued with the toll racial violence took on black people's abilities to rebound and prosper collectively as a group. Democrats were so threatened by the notion of this fusion government that they basically burned the people out. They've documented 60 deaths. It was really about economic envy. So absent this economic envy and fear, black folks, we didn't get the 40 acres and a mule, but we were still trying to do it. And then folks came in and said, wait a minute, if we let them do their thing, where is our cheap labor going to come from, she added. As horrible as Malveau's recounting sounds, the truth of it is undeniable. Ironically, those black men who were given the opportunity to board the train in Wilmington were among the fortunate because they at least kept their lives. Malveaux also recounted the terror of Black Wall Street and other economic factors during her argument. Whether America wants to acknowledge it or not, the harsh truth is many black people were lynched by whites for the crime of prosperity in business. An article printed last year in the LA Times also highlighted this fraught history, including how black business owners were murdered or had their establishments burned to the ground by jealous white people. One such case was the People's Grocery in Memphis in 1892. The successful black owner and two of his black employees were lynched in such a horrific manner, it reverberated across the nation. By the way, I know exactly where that is. That is on Mississippi and Walker in Memphis. And by the way, the four-way grill is on that corner right now. The phenomenal Ida B. Wells dedicated much of her life to documenting the frequency and veracity of whites lynching blacks. She cited the rise of black people competing economically with whites as the cause of many of them. In Alabama, the National Lynching Memorial, which opened last year, has almost 800 monuments with the names of over 4,400 victims engraved on them. It's highly likely that some names have been left out due to murders being covered up or forgotten by history. To those still in denial, this is not the stuff legends are made of. This is quite the contrary. White people lynched black people to literally kill the competition. And that's our black fact for today.
For more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people, on JoyNetRadio.com.
And don't forget, if you want to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, you can do so by calling me up at 855-525-5683 or call my cell phone number, 615 554-0568. And do me a favor, don't call my cell phone breathing hard, Robert. Okay, I'm just not gonna take that anymore. Hey Jackie, what's up, Russ? Hello, Latanya. Thanks for joining the show today. See, you just breathed hard again. Stop it, man. Stop it. All right. No. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. What are you still doing here? Your show ended about 17 minutes ago. You think you're going to get some free time on this show? It ain't happening, dog. It ain't happening. I know you want to come on the best show on the network to try to plug your little poop butt show. You know, I'm just saying, you know, but anyway. All right, so let's talk to our guest. Today we have a special guest in the studio, and we'll get to some of the other stuff later on in the show as well. But Lee Miller, who is running for District 34, the seat that was left vacant by the untimely death of the great John Walker, is in studio with us today to talk about some of the things that he'd like to get accomplished. So Lee, welcome to Black Focus Radio.
All right, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
We're glad you were able to make it. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, did you get a call back from the other person?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
We invited, so we
Okay.
can't just invite one person, not invite everybody. So
Yeah.
we did invite him. Lee said, Mr. Miller said, of course I'd love to come.
Yeah.
But
What the other person said?
The other guy said, I'll get back to you. I don't do black people. No, I'm just kidding. He said nothing. He just said he'll get back with us.
Have you gotten back to you yet?
Nah, we'll give him time now. It's still early.
Okay.
Still early.
Okay. All right. I would like to say that if I'm running a campaign in Little Rock, I want to be on the best black show in Little Rock.
Yeah, the Power of Justice broadcast, 11 a.m. Tuesdays.
Roselle, no one heard that. Your mic's not on. See, I know how to get you now.
Stop playing with my microphone, man.
I know how to get you now, bro. Start dropping your little plugs in for your show on this show.
All right, we're going to advertise First Baptist in a minute. So don't put the mic on.
All right, Lee, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, born and raised here in Little Rock. My humble beginnings began right in Highland Court area. I matriculated through McDermott, Lynch Drive, which is in Rose City, North Little Rock. Then I went to Mills, junior high school at Fuller. Graduated from Mills High School 2004. Went to college at Dillard University in New Orleans, and went to law school in Michigan. And so to kind of back that up a little bit, after I graduated from high school in 2004, I went to Dillard, came home. I worked for Congressman Vic Snyder. I was an intern with him. We worked on veteran affairs. And then the next thing I did was I worked for Secretary of State Charlie Daniels. Then I worked on Representative Fred Allen's campaign, worked with Darren Williams on his campaign, and then I got the call to go work for President Obama in North Carolina. I was a field organizer out there. I ran 2 counties. After that, a group of us went up to New York. I don't know if y'all old enough to remember Acorn, but it was kind of an offshoot of Acorns.
Robert's old enough.
It was called New York Communities for Change, and we went up there to fight for tenants' rights. They have a lot of slumlords, a lot of housing projects up there, and also like elderly people, kind of aging them out. And so we went up there to fight for tenants' rights, and also with the big fast food worker strikes with the $15 and the union, trying to unionize that group of people. Because in bigger cities, well, it's an issue here in Little Rock as well, but in bigger cities you have generations of people working at McDonald's or working fast food. Like it's a way of life there. And so what does a living wage look like in New York versus a living wage also here in Little Rock? So did that. After that, decided to go to law school. Met Dr. Barber. He kind of, gave me one of those stern looks and was like, "What are you doing next?" And so went to law school. Now I'm back home. Just finished working with the City of Little Rock AmeriCorps program, where we worked in the community right around the Willie Hinton Center, helping do minor rehabs, safety surveys, and energy efficiencies on the home. And now I'm a licensed attorney, and also work with the city doing our track list, where we keep up with still repairing elderly people's homes. It's cold now, so a lot of times people are on fixed incomes. So when the heat goes out, the city has a program that will go out and give people heat. We'll fix a roof if it's an emergency. There's a lot of benefits that the city provides to the citizens. So that's what I do now.
All right, cool.
So why do you want to run for state representative?
I think that I'm a public servant. I've always been real big on community service. Even as a very, very small child, I volunteered at the watershed with Reverend Stewart. Funny story, I thought he was the Black Santa Claus. He dressed up one year. He has like white hair at that time, so I thought he was the Black
Hey, what you trying to say? Ain't nothing wrong with white hair.
What I'm saying is he's like Santa Claus, right?
I'm just messing with you.
so that, and then also just all throughout my life, like community service, giving back to the community, it's just been a part of my makeup. And so, running for state representative, one of my biggest things about helping people is that you can help people through legislation or writing checks. Never really been a rich person, very, very humble beginnings, and so legislation is a way that I can definitely help the community give back or help guide where the checks go or tell people where the checks go.
All right. I like that so far. So tell me something.
Okay.
So, in your opinion, what are the 3 top issues in your district?
I think so. Affordable housing is one. High quality education, and we really need to unify. It's not necessarily one of my platform pieces, but my platform is high quality education, economic development, and affordable housing. So those issues, I think, encompass everything for the district, in my opinion.
Okay. So give us an idea of what you implement if you were elected and by way of economic development.
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I know they can't see us, but I'm a heavier guy. So we have a food desert in District 34, right? So I worked at the Willie Hinton Center, and there's nowhere for me to go get a cup of coffee. I would have to leave the house an extra 30 minutes just to get to Starbucks downtown on Broadway to double back to go.
Says Starbucks.
Oh, hold on. To double back to the Willie Hinton Center. So if I wanted a cup of coffee, where would I get a cup of coffee at on 12th Street? Right? Same thing with an apple. If I wanted an apple, I'm at the Willie Hinton Center. I want an apple, or it's my meatless Monday. I want a salad. So where can I get a salad? On 12th Street. Right? You can't get a salad at the dollar store. Right? So we need to get that grocery store back open, whether it has to be a co-op. People have money too. That's nothing too. So we have to just, hey, I need $1,000. I need, we'll get the city to kick in, see if we can get the feds to kick in, but it can be an independent, community-owned grocery store, farmers market right there in the heart of the city. And then, so there's that. Also with economic development, we have a lot of weed lots. We got abandoned properties. We need to find out who owns these properties. Let's purchase these properties. Let's turn them into something. We can employ our youth. We can pay them $10 an hour to cut the grass in the summer. That's summer jobs. That also teaches you a skill with landscaping. So that's economic development, which I break it down as developing the money, right? So we know we can get money, right? I'm getting money, but are you developing it, right? We have to look at money as a tool like a hammer and not just something that you pay bills. Again, I'm African American. I don't know if y'all can tell or not.
No!
But we as African Americans live a life where we're constantly reacting to everything, and I think we need to live a life where we're proactive, right? So we know that we are going to die, without a doubt, right, as of right now. So why are you not prepared? Where is your estate planning? Where is your will? It can't be in a shoebox at grandma's house under the bed. Or you might be, can I get into that on your radio station?
You can get into anything on this
Okay,
show.
you might be an illegitimate child, right? So, but you got birthrights to this land, property, whatever's in the family, and people not telling you, or you not even trying to find out, because I don't mess with that side of the family. But what happens is, it goes to the Secretary of State, and then they auction off your family stuff. I know that, because I worked at the Secretary of State. So that's that piece. Let me move on. High quality education. Right now I sit on the A-Site board with Philander Smith College, where we go into classrooms and help teachers, I won't say be better teachers, but develop teaching skills with an ever-changing classroom. Students now in the classroom are very different, and they're always changing. So teachers have to do extra training and also be prepared for those type of students. And also, we reach out to the parents because you got to get buy-in from the parents, the teachers, and the students, because educators aren't disciplinarians. They didn't go to school to learn how to discipline kids. It wasn't there. It's not a discipline class, right? It's not a part of it. And so I work with the A-Site group there, and so that's what we do with high-quality education, because whether you want to go to college or not, every job requires you to read, write, and do arithmetic. So you have to show up on time, work hard, go to break on time, come back on time, and also look for upward mobility, because jobs are changing, technology, you just can't expect to just stay at the same job for 30, 40 years. It's not, our economy is not really set up for that. So that's the high-quality education thing,
So politicians have to turn my mic on, Dave. Politicians have to be cautious about wording when they talk. You know, you need to be a good public speaker, for example. You referenced an illegitimate child.
Mm-hmm.
What's an illegitimate child to black folks?
If you were born out of wedlock, so if your parents weren't married when you were born, so
Or if your daddy was married and your mama wasn't.
I guess a better question is there a better term for a politician to use other than illegitimate child when we talk about children born out of wedlock?
I'm sure there is one, but I myself am a bastard child, illegitimate child born out of wedlock, so I'm gonna use it. I'm sorry. Did I?
Oh, we
All right,
sorry.
that's-
Rizal was
yeah.
the only one ain't a bastard.
Criminal justice.
You want to talk
Well,
about
I'm
criminal
just- I
justice?
mean,
I needed to ask that question first.
So petty.
But
And I'm not a politician either. I'm a public servant, so I get it, and so that's something. I mean, let me address it to the listeners. So, like, I'm used to being a staffer. I want to take the critique. I'm used to being a staffer and doing the work. So, thank you for the critique. I know my campaign manager is listening. She's probably cringing right now, but so please forgive me. Please forgive me, y'all.
So I was trying to get to a criminal.
We
justice
always like it
question.
when you throw shade on Rizal.
I was trying to get to a criminal justice question, but I need to ask this question.
Okay.
People all the time try to distance themselves from being a politician.
Okay.
But a candidate for office who is elected is the definition of a politician. So how do you separate being a politician and non-politician based on your understanding or your definition?
By getting involved in the grassroots, constantly being engaged, and don't be so far removed. So I want to be a people to represent the people. So you actually have to go to the neighborhood association meetings. You need to invite them to your meetings. You have to be involved. It's not just talking points. It's not just ceremonial things like that. You just have to really be. Someone told me to stop saying this, but you really have to be boots on the ground. You really have to be involved. I feel.
You gotta have your feet in the street, right? Yeah.
You really have to do it.
Is that new or different from what other politicians are doing in general? Are you generalizing politicians, or are there other people out there that are elected politicians that are actually do have their boots on the ground?
I'm not trying to generalize all politicians, and I would say that some public servants or politicians, whichever term you want to use, they do have boots on the ground, and that's why they're in the position that they are in and have been in for several years. I feel that a lot of people who have made a lifetime commitment to public service, they don't make a lot of money, and so they do it because they love the people. So you have to first love the people and care about the community.
Now, I want to talk about criminal justice. Of course.
Can we ask a question?
I know this is Black Focus Radio, but this is the question that I really wanted to ask you initially.
Okay.
You know the history and the legend that is John Walker. I'm sure that you understand and know that.
Mm-hmm.
His big ticket item, so to speak, was the justice system, an area and every asset or every facet of it. And so when we talk about the criminal justice system and we talk about the criminal injustice system, specifically here in Little Rock and policing, then what is your platform item, or do you have a platform item in regards to justice and criminal justice especially? I heard you talk about economics, I heard you talk about
Mm-hmm.
education, but what about what is happening to black and brown and poor folks in Little Rock in regards to criminal justice?
Right. We have to hold people accountable. And so that's the first thing, right? Accountability. So there has to be a plan in place for when these things occur. We have a number to call. We have 15 people ready to go. We're sending letters. You have to be active and involved all the time. Because the moment that you stop getting involved or stop holding it, so now I'm really conscious about what I say because you kind of hit me on that. But when you have your foot on their necks, you got to keep it there, right? So that's the accountability thing. Also, the other piece of that is community policing. So we have to take responsibility for our communities, right? Because the police are not here to protect and serve, right? Throughout history, that's not really their job. And so there's that. The other thing, I've been reaching out to Attorney Proctor to reach out to him to try to restart his program he had with juvenile justice. So we want to restart that program. Also, we have to get the community involved, which, in my opinion, that you just got to get buy-in from the neighborhood associations. You just have to start at the grassroots level, getting people involved, seeing what the real issues are, having people accountable. And also, I know you mentioned it earlier, but we have to get people involved. That means we need more African-American prosecutors. We need you to sign up and register to vote so that you can be on the jury.
Are poor folks members of POA?
He's talking about the.
No, I get it. when you talk about the neighborhood associations,
Yes.
how many poor folks do you know that are members or actively engaged or involved in neighborhood associations?
Several. They're not. It's not as many people as you would like because you want a lot of people, but no, they're definitely there. Again, working with the AmeriCorps program, I got a chance to meet them and work hand in hand with them. We just did Rock the Block right over here by Willie Henn Center. But no, those people are in there. Love Neighborhood Association. I've been working with them, so no, they're there, and they really care about the community. And some of them believe they're not going to move and they're not going to sell. And so we need to support these people there because they there. So no,
I gotta ask this last question.
No.
I gotta ask this question.
Well, go
Don't cut my mic off.
Go
Let me ask
ahead.
this question. In your response to criminal justice, you said we've got to put people together, and this is not verbatim. We've got to put people together. We've got to be able to write letters and issue letters and respond to hold people accountable. What are you talking about?
Oh no, literally, right? So,
Yeah.
so there has to be a plan. So every time, so there's a thing called fire drills, right? There is a how do you run a fire drill? You have the captains, the co-captains. You got to open all the doors. You got to do that. All clear, take roll. Every time there's something, an act of injustice done on someone in your neighborhood, there needs to be a plan of action in place. Okay, there's gonna be 50 letters, right? Because you have to create a paper trail. Because how our capitalist society, our government works, it needs to be documented. You can't undocument 50 letters not sent. Can't undocument 1,000 emails not sent, right? Then we see, well, who's in office? There's accountability. We're working on a word for that. My campaign manager, shout out to you. So there has to be a level of accountability, right? After that, if we don't get the changes that we need with an actual deadline on what we're supposed to be doing, we sue them. And so that's how our society works. But it has to be in place, systematic. This is what we do when these things occur. But we also have to have people in place that's recording, monitoring, setting timelines. So did that kind of answer the question? Because you got a smirk, so I'm like, I'm not skirting your question. I'm very serious.
No, I understand your seriousness, and
to be frank, I'm here for it.
Well, just to be frank, we've had some conversations, and I've made some comments to Rob and to Dave because we talk about politics quite often, privately and on their show.
Okay.
And this is their show. Thank
you for remembering that.
And because we talk about politics so often, one of the things that I look at is the pros and cons of any candidate. And when I heard your name, because it did not sound familiar to me, I needed to find out who you are and what you are about. And a lot of times when we see people that get into politics and run for office that have never held an office, we see a level of immaturity and even in some respects ignorance to some things in regards to politics and what they can and what they cannot do. Okay. And when some of the comments that you've made, if you go back and listen to the show, some of the comments that you made, you can tell that there's a level of immaturity or a level of ignorance in regards to some of the answers that you give, especially as it relates to criminal justice. Criminal justice is probably the most impactful issue right now in Little Rock. And to have everything on your platform, with the exception of criminal justice, is kind of a slight, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think it may ignore or diminish what you're trying to do in regards to representing the black and brown folks and the poor folks, at least in Little Rock and Little Rock part of the district. And so I just want to be candid and forward with you on that so that you know my position.
No, thank you.
All right, Robert.
You want to respond?
Yeah, we'll definitely make an effort to add criminal justice to the platform. But being a licensed attorney, I want you to know that criminal justice reform, tort reform are a part of my life. So I'm not playing a role. I'm not giving you talking points. I've worked with the prosecutor's office in Michigan. I worked with the prosecutor's office here in Arkansas. I've worked with private practice attorneys in Michigan, private practice attorneys in Arkansas. So I don't want you to feel that it's something being skipped and missed, because this is a part of me. I'm only in the position I am in now because, can I say?
Sure.
Okay, because of God's grace and mercy, right? I'm really from the city. So as a black male growing up in Little Rock, I'm a real life 80s baby from the crack era. For me to be where I am and not having a run-in with the law or a felony or anything like that is just a blessing. So I don't want you to think that it's something that's getting skipped or missed. So definitely, no. I'm here for it. So I appreciate it.
Let me ask you, if I may, how old are you?
34.
34. Okay, and this kind of piggybacks on I guess what Rizal.
Let me throw my question real quick, and then you can go ahead because I just want this is a question from a listener. They said all the stuff you're talking about is about city politics, what about state issues. You have to answer right now, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
let
get,
you marinate.
but what I was going to ask you, what do you say to people who think, to some extent, what Rizal was saying, that because of your age, your lack of political maturity, that you're not ready to handle this office?
Well, I'm licensed, skilled, and trained to research and do whatever I need to do to deliver for the District of 34. We can't be focused on just one issue. We have several issues that we need to be focused on, several issues that need work. That's the point of working with the neighborhood associations. And so when I meet with them and we come together with a plan, we'll say, well, Mr. Miller, affordable housing is important to us, but right now we want you to focus on criminal reform or our criminal justice system. And so that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I would say to them. Also, I have the background and the knowledge to be able to do that. So everybody are one or two trick ponies. I am someone who is here to get the job done for the district. So whatever the district wants to do, which goes back to getting organized and writing those letters, because I'm not going to sign up just to be a symbolic head. I want people that's actually going to work and put boots on the ground. So don't be a couch quarterback. You're going to have to be out here with me, getting it done, reporting back, keeping up with metrics, because that's what's important. So that's what I would say to them.
Okay, I like it, brother. Let's dig deep. So me and you
gonna let him answer the question you asked?
Oh yeah, go ahead. So my bad.
State issues. Again, I want to meet and see what's the pressing issues for District 34. So again, affordable housing and education. I think those are national issues. So I would just say, can they be more specific with the state issues? Because any local issue we have tends to be, these are national issues. So, but again, the recipe does not change. You have to be organized. You come up with a level of accountability, and then you come with solutions. Don't be problem listers, but we have to be problem solvers.
You're getting a lot of kudos out there. They say, I like it, man. He'll be his own with them old birds. I didn't know he was old though.
I wouldn't say y'all.
I'm not old.
No, hey, for that right there, I'm not reading no more of their comments. All right, so check this out. So I'm in your district,
Okay.
and for me, we got some good people in the race, right? But for me, I want somebody who has some intimate knowledge. So let's dig deep a little bit. Let's talk about some issues, because I know you said your housing was one of your issues.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we have somebody come on, they talk about legislation.
Okay.
And for black folk, I think sometimes we do that to ourselves because that's the mantra people always say. You know, that's how you get change through legislation. Well, if you're familiar with the city board, we only got 2 black folks on there. Well, 2.5, 2.25, 2.33. What is she?
Okay, let's just keep it above board now.
2.33. 2.33.
2.
We got 2. Okay. So we can't get anything passed. Director Richardson, we tried to pass stuff. We couldn't get anything passed. Director Hendricks, we tried to pass stuff. Couldn't get anything passed. So you talk about making change through legislation. If we don't have the numbers in the state, how are you gonna get things through?
You move people, but they have terms, and then also you see what's going on. So you have to be, again, systematic plan, metrics. What issues are important to them? Because they were elected, they're putting those seats to do certain jobs, and so if their interests are not aligning with the people that they are there to represent, then we have to move them out the way. And so I know that was a very short, simple answer, but give
us an idea how you move them out of the way.
Oh, okay. So election is coming up. I know there's going to be some elections coming up, so we need to elect people in there that's going to be able to do what we need them to do. Also, we need to reach out to them individually and also in numbers. If you fill up a director's mailbox with 50 pieces of mail, right, or you fill up their inbox to where it can't receive any messages, they're going to hear you. How many people are attending these meetings, right? It needs to be standing room only, in the hallway, outside. Somebody should pull up with a food truck and let them know that we are here, we're not going anywhere, and we're fully involved and engaged in the process.
Is your question related to local, or were you just drawing a comparison and talking about state politics?
Just period. But that's a good answer.
Yeah, so, same thing. We have to be involved and engaged. You have to go to the meetings. Like somebody asked the question about how many people are actually in these neighborhood association meetings. How many people are at the meetings on Tuesdays or following up Wednesday? That's the accountability piece. So you're in this position. So what exactly have you done? Pull up their record, their report card, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we need to start doing. There needs to be an accountability there.
Man, I like you. But I feel like you're like Dave. I feel like you're like Dave, though. Your day's cold.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? If he's like me, he's good.
Yeah, he is. I like that. I like the swag.
You may not want
but
to
you know,
combine him with Dave.
I like that. I like
He
that.
just lost like 2,000 votes, man.
Well, the thing is that so he comes.
He's like
so
Dave.
I think sometimes what happens on our show, man, is that people don't take background into account, right? So sometimes we have conversations with people, and we're kind of on a different level because he has worked on campaigns where he's had to organize, and he sees it from a totally different perspective, right? Okay, so I respect that, right? Because you've worked on campaigns, you've organized, so you know the power of organization, and you've seen it work, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's come to Little Rock because we not in South Carolina. It ain't no campaign, and you just want people to come out because they took over the school district. How you gonna move them to get out?
So I know it sounds crazy, but you can't sweat the technique.
Okay.
You need a food truck. You need to get the neighborhood association. These people, neighborhood associations have presidents. Even if it's 10 people, that's more than no people. And then you grow from there. The other thing too is with the strikes. With the strikes, they should have just opened up these community centers and had class there. Had the teachers there still having class. It's not a day off. It's a day to work. We just not gonna go inside the schools. But if I'm a teacher, I'm an attorney. I could give you legal advice right here as soon as you pay me, of course. But if I'm a teacher, you can hold class anywhere. They can open up the churches.
Okay.
So again, it's not a day off. It was a day to work in solidarity. So people want to know like real. And so honestly, you have to know your people. So what's gonna get people out right now? What's gonna get people out? If I wanted to cause a big ruckus, what you do, it will depend on the issue. So give me an issue to rally around. So education, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go to the community centers. They're open.
Okay.
We can set up pods. We can have classes right there with the teachers. We can do that, right? Okay. We can get people to donate food trucks, donate whatever we need, because people will come if there's a plan of action and a call to action. The key part is having a plan and having the right people to co-sign it or put it out there.
Right.
But people want to be involved. They know it's a problem. People don't know what's going on, but they want to help.
Right.
So I gotta wait for you to help. We're gonna be at West Central. We're gonna put second grade on this side, third grade on this side. All third graders come. We're gonna go over spelling words because there is a national, state list, sight word list that they must know. I was assistant director of after school program. We were able to do it. We can just do it right there. We can have class right here in different grades all over. So it's not a day off. It's a day of solidarity. It's a day to work. But you got to have the stuff in place. Proper facilities like bathrooms. We got to feed the people when they come. Right? We got to make it fun. Might have a bouncy house. Kids still want recess. True, grown folks like recess.
Right.
So you just have to incorporate that and just plan it out from front to back.
Talk a little bit about, since he asked about housing, schools, what would you do about police brutality?
Again, we have to go back to accountability. So once an officer has brutalized someone, we need to reach out to the prosecutor. 50 people, 30 people, 10 people, right? So it's just, as long as it's just not, they can silence you. We've seen this over history. When it's just one, it's kind of easy to silence us. But if it's 10 or 15 or 20, you know the plan, I know the plan, you know the plan, we can all execute it, right? So, I don't know, we talk about sports, but you don't win championships with one player anymore. It don't work like that.
Right.
Okay? So you need several key players and role players, because even if you got all stars, you still got to have a supporting bench. Okay? So anyway, answer your question. There has to be a level of accountability. Get with the prosecutor. Actually have to know the law as to we have to look at the interpretation of the law. We have to know the law. That's one piece, right? Because there's the words on the page. But then you also have to look and see how they're interpreting it, because the level of discretion is vast. So we have to go in and restructure on what we want that to look like, right? The other thing too, people don't like to talk about this. We have to place the percentage of fault on there too, right? So when the police pull you over, you know what you're supposed to do. It's standard procedure, okay? Some people do follow the standard procedure, some people don't. This police officer, has been trained. He has a set of rules that he has to follow. You as a citizen have a set of rules that you need to follow.
No, you don't.
Okay, so the discretion is at the police. Look, we can.
I'm glad you said it. Yeah, I'm glad you said it.
But there's a level of discretion there at the police officer. It has when you're on the side of the road. I tell people that all the time. You are to show your ID, license, registration. Do not argue with the police on the side of the road. I'm your attorney. You call me. We fight in court. Because you don't win that battle on the side of the road with the officer.
Never.
We can look at the statistics. You do not win. And he don't have the authority. All he can either do is write you a ticket, arrest you, or let you go. Or worse. Right? So that's your multiple choice.
So should I just abdicate my First Amendment rights, my Constitution, because he's a police officer and I'm a citizen?
On the side of the road?
Anywhere.
No, I get what he said. On the side of the road, yeah. Why would you do that on the
Absolutely.
side of the road?
My mom told me you make it home. You make it home. Because you lose every time.
You can fight it once you get home.
You go home.
Yeah,
so if you listening to this, go home. Make it home.
Yeah, I'm big on criminal justice, man. And what you're saying, it's kind of got my attention.
Okay.
If a person does follow the rules, which happens all the time in this country, and they still get arrested because of officer discretion,
Or killed.
or
Philando
they end
Castile.
up getting hurt, I was going there, or murdered after they've done everything that they're supposed to do, which happens all the time, then how do you address that as a legislator? Do you say, well, maybe they should have done something differently?
No.
Or now is the person that's dead, the victim, somehow responsible for their own death when they do what is expected of them to do from the cops?
All right. So let's back it up a little bit. So police brutality and side of the road stops are both multi-level issues. So there's not one answer to each question. I want to say that first. Second thing is you use the word all and most. Right? Let's be careful with that because we would have to actually pull up data and really see what that looks like. Right? So that's the second piece. The third piece is we need to adjust the law on police discretion or what it is. So there is no textbook answer to this is how a proper traffic stop is done. These are the rules. This is what's supposed to happen. Right? So we need a black and white version of what that actually looks like. But I'm going to say this again. You do not win on the side of the road with an officer. You need to go home. There has been issues with our police since its inception. And there will always be issues because it's an imperfect system. So what we have to do is back it up and start with one issue at a time because we want to be problem solvers, right? So if it's the side of the road, we need to come up with a black and white, what's supposed to happen, what's not supposed to happen. But also be organized because if everybody did what they were supposed to do all the time, you wouldn't need attorneys, we wouldn't need the law, we wouldn't need contracts. We wouldn't need that. If Les Brown, if information alone changed people, right?
I'm always concerned about a public servant's response when their first response is
Okay.
The victim has to take some responsibility too. I'm always concerned about that when we say, well, maybe the black man on the side of the road says, say yes sir, no sir, and don't come by y'all like the officer expected him to do and he'd still be alive. I'm always concerned when a public servant or anybody for that matter says, well, what about the person that the officer victimized? Maybe they bear some of the responsibility. When we exercise our right to be men, free men, and something bad happens to us, it is not our fault. It's not. And I understand the concept of the philosophy, bow down on the side of the street and then bow down on the side of the street and then we can stand up in the court. I understand that philosophy, but that's a weak philosophy that's used to weaken black men and brown men and women. And so the fact is that we have a right to talk how we want to talk, to act how we want to act, as long as we're not violating laws in the process. And if a police officer victimizes us for exercising our right, that's not our fault for being victims. That's the cop's fault for victimizing us.
Okay, so I never said that it was the victim's fault. Number one. Number two, I'm asking. So what would you suggest? Because again, because you saying that I said the wrong answer. That's kind of gist I'm getting, right?
Here's what I would suggest. is that we make sure that police understand the Constitution of the United States. Because in most of these cases that we see, they violate your constitutional rights. And if we understand that instead of putting them out in the field after 3 months, how long did it take you to go to law school and get your law degree?
I'm sorry, hang on. I'm getting yelled at. And my campaign manager is yelling, hang on, y'all.
And look, I'm
sorry.
packing because you can tell your manager I'm leaving for a meeting, so you're.
Well, no, you're not leaving. No, you can't leave like that. No, I got to go to class. No, I got to teach class. No, sir.
Hang on.
How long did it take you to get your law degree?
So that's why
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So how
invite me to your show? You reach out to my campaign manager, but I'm never blaming the victim. I like to look at the complete picture, and so that's my piece to that.
But the complete picture is that we hire law enforcement to enforce the law.
Okay.
Not victimize citizens.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me finish my question. Okay. So when you're starting to talk about, oh well, you should do this. No. It is his job. It's ludicrous to me to tell a 16-year-old kid who is in fear of his life, who has seen what police do on a regular basis, that these are the steps you ought to take. He's not trained to do that. But that law enforcement officer is trained. He should go beyond the duty to make sure that someone's constitutional rights are not violated. That's my concern.
Right, and my concern is the accountability, right? So where is the system in place for that? And so we have to create that system because we just talking, right? So we need to be able to say, hey, no, this is what you were supposed to do. This is what you did. Here's the lawsuit, and we need his job. We don't have that. So I don't want anybody to bow down on the side of the road. I want you to get home to your mama. That's what I want you to do.
Okay, so we don't have that,
All
right?
right, hold on, Dave.
So then we create that.
Down the street, let's go. That horse is dead.
I just want you to know that I'm very passionate about that. I don't want nobody to bow down, but I want you to get home. And when you talk about the Constitution, it's still a level of discretion and interpretation with that.
Not for the First Amendment.
Okay, let's move on. Shall we?
I carry a Constitution everywhere I go.
I understand that, but the Constitution can either be an anchor or a sail, depending on your interpretation.
Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me stick around for a few minutes, and I mean that today. I'll be playing with y'all all them other times, but I think this is a critical conversation to have.
Yeah.
You know, I hope y'all go ahead and talk about this all the way to 2 o'clock, man. Because I want to hear some more, and I'll come back.
So you're programming the rest of our show?
No, I'm going to come back and listen to the rest of the show.
No, he's probably going to go
to do that because I've got some. You know, if I was to tell your manager I'm out, but we can talk. You can come to the Power of Justice, and you can bring your manager with you.
I don't need backup, but I will be there. I'll bring her. She's might be excited to meet you. I like that bag too, so I need a bag. I need one of those.
Okay, so we got about 6 minutes to go before the top of the hour. Go ahead, Ron.
All right, so you talked about affordable housing. So tell me a little bit about. So are you familiar with the ADFA's program where they provide money for a low-income community in housing? Mm-hmm. So how would you change that program? Because currently you can't use the money for rehab in Little Rock because the city gets its own community block grant money. Mm-hmm. What could you do to change that? Well, people in Little Rock. Well, it will be available to more seniors in Little Rock. What could you do to change that?
So what we do is we'll just break it down sentence by sentence, and so we'll explain it to people. So there are some. I'm sorry, I'm back. I'm still thinking about what you said. Let me get it together. The first thing is you got to break down the words on the page. That's rule number one. The next thing is put a system in place because the city of Little Rock already has certain programs that the people that can't qualify for that may qualify for something else. Right? We can also pull in private investors and give them equity in a program to go ahead and get the job done while we're waiting on bigger projects to get funded.
Yeah, let's go back. Okay. What I'm saying is, so when you go to ADFA, they have a patch of money that you can use in the outlying areas in the county. Mm-hmm. So if you go in the county, you got somebody who has a rundown house, they'll give them $90,000 to rehab the house, or they'll give them $90,000 to build a new house if they can. Right? We can't use that same program in Little Rock because the city of Little Rock gets its own community block grant funds. Right. So, and all they do with their community block grant funds is they do rehab for seniors. They do wheelchair ramps and.
We do a lot of projects. Don't say all we do.
Well, that's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, y'all don't do a whole lot. You do wheelchair ramps. You do rehab for seniors. You give a whole bunch of money to our kids, not our kids, but what is it? Our house, our house. all these aid programs for housing. You do some of that stuff.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it,
Okay.
right?
Right,
But when you're talking about things that impact the people who, the reason they give that money to the city, right? Well, let's get off of that because that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So when we're talking about that housing piece, what could you do by way of legislation or changing the legislation that we can use that money to help folks in communities in our hood who could use that rehab money?
We'll try to see if we can get exceptions made. I mean, so that would be the first thing I would do. See if we can get exceptions made, but also I want to increase the pie, right? Because we want people to stay out the county too. So I don't want to take money from them. So to answer your question first, we'll see if we can get some exceptions, right? But let's develop the county too. But then let's also create another pool of money, or see if there's something else, if there's a nonprofit grant that we can create, because there's no shortage of money in America. There's no shortage of money, and so if they don't use it all, then we can say, well, hey, we didn't use all the money in the county, so next year let's put half in the city and let's put half in the county, right? Because we want to be problem solvers and not problem listers. Right. So you already got the money spent. We didn't spend it all. We can use it here, and this helps the city and the county at the county line, right? So maybe if you're within 20 miles of the county line, we can get these houses in the interior county.
Okay.
So something like that. So I'm real big on innovation and being creative, because everybody wants to look good. They want to say what they were able to complete and get done, and I want to give them an opportunity to.
Right.
So hey, we spent all this money, and look at all the great that we did. District 34, you're welcome, right? Because then we all get together and take one big picture, but us three sitting in the dark room came up with the creative innovation to get the job done with the plan, the systematic plan. Because we're going to might get told no once or twice. But once we show what the data shows, and also creating alternative sources of funds and income, because people have the money. We just got to ask them. So that's my piece.
All right, bro.
You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our guest today.
One last
another
thing.
question?
Okay.
You keep talking about love. I was a former vice president of Love Neighborhood Association.
Okay. Well, Miss Rhonda, shout out to Miss Rhonda, Mr. Ted, Brother Hershey, Job Corps.
See, that's what
I know, right? You never do the names, man.
You gotta forget it.
Omega Psi Phi, KA Psi, and everybody that helped us with the Rock the Block that we did in Love Neighborhood, City of Little Rock, of course. I'm sorry, and also my AmeriCorps people that they just came back to help the event. It was really good. So I have a special place for Love Neighborhood, definitely, and we're planning another one. Director John Adcock helped us on that too. Oh, I'm sorry, I hate naming names. If you forget anybody, you'll never end of it. But everybody helped us with the Rock the Block. Yeah. Thank you. We're planning another one. So if your neighborhood needs another Rock the Block, or a one to begin with,
a Rock the Block, right?
Yeah, a Rock the Block. Let us know. We're planning it. So.
All right, cool.
All right, closing comments.
Yes, I have a fundraiser coming up. It's going to be December 15th at A Touch of Quality in Little Rock. Go to voteleemiller.com. My name is Lee Miller. I'm running for State Rep District 34. I am the most qualified. I have the stamina, the vigor, the innovation, the creativity that District 34 needs to push it forward. The time is now for us to take action. We want results, not just talking points. So thank y'all for having me. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy it.
Right.
We kind of rough you up a little bit, but that's what we do on this show. We don't play.
Okay.
Okay? So don't take it
You
personally.
didn't get roughed up.
I didn't take it personally. I was a little hesitant at first, but my campaign manager listens to your show, so she loves you guys, and so she kind of twisted my arm, and so here we are.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, man.
Beat the campaign, man.
I was like, no, I need a list of questions. She's like, no, you going anyway? I said,
No, we don't. Let me tell you something about the media.
If you're a black man, you could have come on this show, you know, a black issue, you don't have your ass.
Right, yeah. So it's good.
Plus, if I don't allow people, good journalists will not submit pre-questions.
Okay.
We just simply don't do that.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because in my opinion, if you're on your stuff, you ought to be able to answer any question without you formulating answers after I've submitted them to you.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
So when I do the white politicians, black, don't matter. I've been doing this for 35 years. I don't submit questions.
Gotcha. I'm here. So I'm a participant. Like,
We appreciate it. Did a good job. By the way. All right, we got to take the top of the hour break.
Hold on. At some point, we're going to have a debate. We're going to try to bring all y'all back probably the
After the first of the year.
Yeah, after the first of the year, right before the early voting starts.
Okay, let me know.
So get ready.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a top of the hour break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinetradio.com.
Oh, man. Get shot.
We talked about that thing though. Like I'm a lawyer, so like you don't want people dying on the side of the road, and so it ain't. I don't want people cowering down or submitting to Caesar or nothing. But like,
you talking to a cop?
Yeah, he's an ex-police officer.
I don't care who he is. You get home. Cause you lose. That cop can't do nothing for you on the side of the road. He can't do nothing for you. Y'all been pulled over by the police. Have you ever argued with them?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so would you advise your son to do that?
Yes.
Every time.
Stand up for your rights. See, the problem, the reason they keep doing what they're doing, the more of us who stand up against them, the less they'll stop killing us. Okay? But right now, everybody's just saying, oh, Mr. Cop, oh, yes, yes, sir. And they continually devour. We've been doing the same thing over and over again for the last 50 years. It's time to flip that script. The more of us who understand the law, the less they'll be doing that. Okay?
All right. You say, give me your license and registration.
Oh, that's part of the process. But if I'm a passenger, I don't have to give you my license and registration.
Yes, you do.
Depending on what state. In some states. Okay, in Arkansas. But in Tennessee, you don't.
Listen, the officer has discretion. I get you. But just know.
Do I have to give him my license and registration when I'm walking down the street?
Yes.
No, you don't.
If he deems you look suspicious,
what is look suspicious?
His discretion in his mind.
No, but that's illegal.
Yes, that's the law. That's
no,
what I'm trying to tell
if I'm walking down the street, I do not have to give him. I don't have to ID.
Law, and I'm telling you, if an officer comes in here right now and says, "You black shirt, let me see your license," and you don't submit to it, he could arrest you
for what?
For not following the order that he gave you,
no, you have to arrest me for me breaking the law.
Yeah.
Okay. So what government operations am I obstructing because?
He's in pursuit of a suspect.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, it's his.
So he has a right to racial profile me then, right?
Absolutely. That's absolutely. That's what discretion is.
No, he doesn't. They do, but that's not the law.
That is the law.
No.
Okay.
Do you know why Michael Bloomberg apologized for racial profiling? Because he knew it was bullshit.
No, they was funding.
Okay. He knew it was bullshit.
It's not the law, though.
Look, I see people all the time who do walking down the street. I don't have to give you my ID because I'm walking down the street. I'm sorry, brother. I don't. You're wrong on that.
No,
I don't mean no disrespect.
No. I mean, I'm telling you.
Now I'll give you if I'm
saying it's at the officer's discretion. He can create it at a moment's notice. I smell weed. It don't matter. I smell liquor. There's public intoxication, and he can find stuff. Now,
if he has probable cause, that's what that means. Okay, but me walking down the street is not probable cause.
Absolutely.
Me taking his picture is not probable cause.
Right. I can agree with you on that, but he can create the probable cause.
Well, therein lies the problem.
That's what I'm saying. The discretion.
Therein lies the problem. Because anytime a police officer can tell you that, hey, you look suspicious, that's bullshit.
But that's the law.
That is not the law. That's not the law. That's discretion.
I got your information. I'm gonna send it to you.
That's discretion.
Because these kids hoping I come late.
Hey man, enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate
it. Critique though, honestly.
Okay.
I want to know, because again, I'm used to being a staffer, so this is all new to me.
Okay.
So, a cool black man critique would be great.
Okay.
Like you said, like my level of maturity, but it's like, I'm a lawyer, so I mean, prison reform, crime, all this, it's like, I don't feel like I got to talk about that.
Yeah, you do.
Right, and so, okay, so that's what I'm saying. So, see, I feel like it's my profession.
But you can't talk about it professionally. You got to talk about it so...
No, I'm going to add it as one of my things.
No. My point is, I get what you were saying, right? Not everybody gets that because you're talking in different headspace. You can't do that when you're talking to certain people. I'm not trying to be funny, Dave. I ain't talking to you. You know what I'm trying to say. Fuck you. Fuck that. I ain't fucking man. I'm not talking.
Thank y'all, man.
Hey man.
Yeah, I get it.
I enjoyed it.
You gotta.
All right.
Like that.
All right. Welcome back to the show. We're still talking to Lee Miller. Enjoyed the interview. I hope you did as well. We're gonna have him back also. I think he's a sharp young man myself. I told y'all that when I went to the forum that he was a sharp young man. And like I said, I would much rather have someone that's young that has that attitude.
Well, I like the swag.
That's what I'm saying.
I wish he was a little bit more knowledgeable. But I like the swag.
I agree. I agree. But I mean, honestly, from all the people we've talked to so far, I think he's a sharp young man.
I agree. 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 I
What?
I mean, they're all pretty much equal. I mean, there's nobody who
Yeah.
just makes you go, damn, he sticks out.
Right.
I mean, they're all pretty much, and like I said, they're all great people, right? So, good luck. I think we'd be well served, whichever one we get.
Well,
of those three, because we haven't met the other two.
we haven't met the
just
other
those
guys.
three.
But and I agree. I think all the ones that we've met, and of course, like I said, I went to the forum last week and got to get a better insight because I wanted to get a better insight before I started critiquing any of them. And as I said when I came back, that based on what I saw, nobody really jumped off the table at me.
Yeah.
But if I had my druthers, I would prefer voting for the young guy simply because of his youth, simply because of his zeal.
Well, I like
you understand
that.
what
I
I'm
like
saying?
That. But the thing that, the red flag for me was when he mentioned Joan Adcock. That instantly.
You caught that
sent
too,
me
right?
That sent me to another
Yeah,
place.
I don't know, and that was I meant to ask the question, how long has he been involved in Little Rock politics?
Well, this is the thing, though. So I don't hold that against him, and the reason why is because she's very good at doing that kind of stuff. Picking up the young talent, the young black talent, and trying to groom them into Because when I mean, Joan Adcock got me appointed to my first board.
But you have to know
the Animal Services Board.
You have to know who you ally with.
Well, not only
and if you are familiar with Little Rock politics, you would know that Joan Adcock.
Well, not if you don't go to board meetings, you wouldn't.
Well,
because all the shit that Jesus, all the things that she does that really hurts black folks, she does in her vote on the board.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you are familiar,
and we're having this conversation about a rock the block, who cares about that?
Right.
But when the sales tax came down and we were trying to get brothers jobs, get bid preference with these guys when the sales tax money came out, she was the one who went out and got the president of the the contractors union to come down and say hell no to it. Said he didn't want a mandate. It wasn't a mandate. But this is my thing. This is what people don't see. Again, this is the woman when they came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna overturn the vote they made in 1957 about the decision that they made to go along with fathers." She said, "No, I don't want my name on that. I'm voting against that." This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, and all the other racist stuff she does in her voting. See, that's what people don't get. I don't give a damn about a rock the block. You stopping me from feeding folks. You stopping folks from giving jobs.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you the most egregious thing she did. Of all the things ever, this is the most egregious thing she did. 2 weeks we had an ordinance. When we got the office of reentry, they had this whole long discussion, right? 2 weeks prior to this, your girl Joan Adcock voted against residency. Said she couldn't have it. It couldn't happen. Could not happen. You get that, right? Could not happen. Cannot have residency of Little Rock employees. You ready for this? We were having a discussion about the office of reentry. You know what she said? Bruce, I want to make sure that all the people we help are from Little Rock. What? You want residency when it comes to black folk, but you don't want it when it comes to white folk. I get it. I get it. All right. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, man. People don't see that. Okay, I'm done. But again, like I said, Joan is very good at getting young talent and pulling them in.
So that's why I said you need to be familiar with what's going on in Little Rock. Because as much dirt as that woman has done to the black community.
No, I don't hold it against him because like I said.
But I'm not holding it against him.
Okay, so when I first got into the game, I was a Joan Adcock fan.
By the way, Russ says she didn't want Martin Luther King holiday either.
No, she didn't. When I first got into the game, I was a Joan Adcock supporter because I didn't know no better. I didn't go to I wasn't going to board meetings every Tuesday.
But were you running for an office?
But still, he doesn't know her well enough yet. He hadn't seen her body of work.
Here's what I'm saying. Okay. If I'm going to run for an office in Little Rock, I need to know who the players are. Okay, and I need to have some cursory idea of who those players are.
I keep telling you that. For me, that's unfair, because the thing is I had the luxury of not working for 7 years, right? And I had the money to take care of myself for 7 years. I didn't have to work, so I could do all the stuff.
Packing like a mining mule.
I could learn all learn all these different things that I've learned, right? Because I had the luxury of doing that. You with me? That brother don't have that luxury. He told you he's working with AmeriCorps, so he doesn't have time. He's just trying to make his money sustain himself. So I can't hold that against him, right?
I'm not holding it against him. I'm simply saying that you need to get to know the movers and shakers in this city, the things that affect this city. I'm not just saying him. Let me finish my point.
So you have to look at his card. So he on this card he lists Darren Williams and he lists Fred Love, right? I mean Fred Allen. So to some degree, those brothers, that's that cream. That's that cream of the black folk. So I get where he is. I don't knock that. I don't knock that. That's his spot.
Okay. So where he is that where the majority of black and brown people are in this city?
No.
That's my point.
But the brother can relate, and the reason I say that
I'm not saying he can't.
The brother's been through it, and he's grew up.
I'm not saying he can't.
Now he didn't do a very good job of articulating it.
Right. Which
maybe he was
on.
nervous. Maybe he was just nervous because, dude, being grilled by three brothers, it ain't an easy thing.
Three knowledgeable brothers, by the way.
It ain't an easy thing, man.
I know.
Thing. So I give him kudos.
But that's where.
And plus, we were a lot harder on him than we were any other candidate.
But that's where.
Know that we were a lot harder on.
That's
him.
where you do your homework.
Well, not only that though, we were a lot harder on him, and I felt he held his own.
I think he did a great job.
I think he did a great job.
I really do.
I expected him at some point to fall apart under Rizzy's cross-examination, but the brother held his own, man.
No, I think he did a great job. And the whole point in me pressing him was to see, that was a test for me.
Yeah.
Was he going to fall apart? Was he going to start stuttering? He didn't. Now, remember, when I told you, when I came back from the forum, who did I say impressed me the most?
You said you liked him, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. He impressed me the most. So, because he impressed me the most, I wanted to see if that was just fluff.
Yeah, I liked him. He just didn't give me enough substance.
Right.
And him being an attorney, I kind of expected more.
3 months.
Because he kept mentioning data and research.
Right.
And so I was expecting more.
But data...
But the brother's sharp, though.
Data and research is wonderful, but if you don't apply it, it makes no difference.
My thing is, so this is my thing. The one thing I learned being a housing authority commissioner is that you sit at a table that if you don't know what the hell's going on, you about to screw a whole bunch of people and you about to get screwed too. So
right.
Me knowing what was wrong where in my community and how and what needed to be fixed, that gave me a great opportunity.
But to your point, what you just said, Robert, is that if you don't know what's going on, you're going to screw a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay? So my point being is, where is your research that you've done so that you don't commit to messing up a lot of people? You understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So yeah, it's good to have great talking points.
Yeah.
But see, the problem with most politicians in this city is that they've never had a show like this. They've never had to go and answer tough questions. It's always been, oh, that's my friend, I like her.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
That's how we've always picked our candidates, unfortunately.
And
it's never gotten us anywhere.
Exactly.
So, you like their pictures on Facebook and be like, that's our vote.
Right.
They always somewhere.
Right.
But, my thing is, I need somebody with some substance. I need somebody who's knowledgeable. Because the thing I've learned...
Of the 3 that we've heard thus far.
Okay.
And I'm assuming we'll get the 4th guy on whenever he calls us back. If he doesn't, we ain't going to worry about it. Of the 3 that we've heard, who are the most knowledgeable in your minds? Based on what we heard. Not based on what they say they've done or their past. Based on, if I'm a voter and I'm tuning into Black Focus Radio...
That's not fair to ask me that question.
It is fair.
No, it's not, because I'm a little different, and I always get beat up.
Stop being different, Robert. Just answer the damn question.
I can't answer that question because it's not fair for me to answer.
Of the 3 people that we've heard thus far, Robert, who do you think is the most knowledgeable? Well, let me put it this way. Who had the better presentations?
I'd say Lee and Ryan. The better presentation.
I would agree.
Their presentations were decent, but knowledgeable. None of them have any knowledge.
I agree with that. That's why I changed it to presentation.
Yeah, none of them have any knowledge.
Because look.
None of them are knowledgeable enough. I feel that I would be comfortable with my state representative.
Right, because I'm going to be totally honest.
Because I want you to know, not only know the issues of our community, but know what's there to fix them.
Right.
Because that's what troubles me. Is that
and that's where
if
you
you
do
don't
your
know
research.
if you don't know the issues of our community, then how do you find the fixes? Right? And if you don't know where the fixes are, what good are you? What are you going there for?
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I like all three candidates, and man, it would. I don't know. It would really be. I mean, it's stuff I wanted to ask all the candidates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always ask those questions because what happens, or what I feel like happens now, is that people say stuff like about me, like he just think he know everything. Well, my thing was when I started.
Don't
doing
worry
this,
about
no,
that.
when I started doing this, I really wanted to help people,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that if I was going to really be able to help people, I needed to know what was out there, how much money the city had to do whatever it had, what they could use that money for. I needed to know all that stuff, right? And in doing that, that helped me learn state stuff, county stuff, because they're all tied together, right? And I don't think people get that because are there things I don't know? Of course there are, right? But I want somebody, if you're really serious about helping people, you make it your business to learn what you need to know to help them. And so
You're saying exactly what I've been saying.
I'm not saying that these people don't. I'm not saying that these candidates don't want to help people.
I'm not saying they don't want to help. I'm just saying that they are not. They're not misinformed. They're ill-informed.
In the future, we should require more of our candidates.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I think we do ourselves a disservice. Just vote for someone because we like them.
Right.
They
I
don't
agree.
help us none.
I agree.
We elect somebody. They take pictures. They give a speech, and we still in the same spot we in.
Right.
Ain't nothing got no better.
Well, I'm not saying they are misinformed. They're ill-informed. That means that they're not up on the issues. Okay? And clearly, the three that we've had in here, they're not up on the issues. And it concerns me as a voter. It's not a slap against them personally. I, as a voter, based on what I know the history of this city and this state, and we've said it over and over, at least I have on this show, that I want somebody who, and you said it as well, who understands the issues.
Right.
Okay?
Who knows the issues.
The 3 points that he gave us, those were generalizations.
Yeah, but that's the same thing everybody did.
But I was going to say that. So that's the same thing. But see, here's what I would have loved to have.
Those are your safe topics.
Okay, I understand that. But here's what I would have, when he talked about criminal justice, what I would have loved for him to say is, when we deal with criminal justice, I want to see this, and done. Okay? When we deal with economic development, I want to see this, and done. Okay?
Yeah.
If you have, now I'll be honest, he's the only one that is coming here with a platform, some bullet points.
Yeah, he's the only one that came in and offered some sense.
You see what I'm saying?
Some sense of a plan.
Some sense of a plan. You see what I'm saying? But when you offer that plan,
Ryan kind of offered some sense of a plan.
Right.
He offered some ideas.
And Georgia said, "I work with John Walker."
Yeah.
That's all she said the whole interview.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, and no matter how I pose questions, it always came back to that same thing. Okay,
Right. Well,
now she might be a great candidate. She might be a great legislator.
Well, okay, so
but based on what she said to me,
the strategy, so that
I don't give a damn about your strategy.
I know, but for them, the strategy is, well, you know what, it worked, right? So me saying throwing John's name out as much as possible, that works because people already voted for him, right? So people try to attach to him.
But see, we shouldn't fall for that. That's the problem. Okay?
I agree.
I
But
want
the
you to
thing
be
is-
able to tell me what the hell you gonna do for us.
Yes.
Okay?
But not only that. So let me give you an idea. Senator Elliott, the first time I ever saw her speak was in October of 2010. The first time I ever saw her in campaign mode, right? And I was floored. You with me? Completely floored. Because she was just knocking it out the park. Her knowledge on what the issues were, but not only what the issues were, but what things were there to address the issue.
Right.
Right? Director Richardson, when I saw him talking about the issues of our community and the things that needed to be done, right? And what we could use in the city to do it. Those kind of things. To me, man, that means so much more.
Sure
because
does.
not only do you have the knowledge of what's broke, but you also know that there are tools there to fix it. Now, the thing is, and I kept asking him that, how do we connect the dots? We know what's broke. We know there's something out there that can fix it. How do we connect the dots, right? And so that's what
Did
sometimes...
you get a satisfactory answer?
Not really, because I don't know if I posed the question. I don't know if I was posing the question the right way. And plus, I was trying to rush, so I don't want to judge him on that because I should have asked it early, but I didn't because Roselle was all caught up in criminal justice. And that's the thing. I mean, you know, I think sometimes we expect candidates. I only expect one thing from a candidate. I just want you to be knowledgeable. I don't give a damn about nothing else. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't give a damn. I just need you to be knowledgeable.
Right.
You with me?
Right.
You ain't gotta agree. Just be knowledgeable.
Right.
And unfortunately, I never get a candidate who has really done his homework. You with me? If you really want to help people, you got to know where the bodies are buried and where the damn shovels are. You got to. That's my opinion.
Well, I would argue, I don't know this, I don't have a poll, but based on what he said about the police, I would probably surmise that there were a lot of people, just like I did and Roselle did, bristled at that comment.
Well, so this is the thing, right?
Regardless of the logic.
No, but this is the thing. So this is
So
kind of...
no, wait a minute, let me finish.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because, in my opinion, the number one issue in the black community, aside from economic development, is police brutality. And if you're running as a black candidate, you better have something for that when that question is asked.
I dig you. I dig where you're coming from. Okay, so let me take you back again. So he made reference to neighborhood associations. And for me, I started out in neighborhood associations. So his level of knowledge is exactly where it should be when he makes mention of neighborhood associations, right? His knowledge is exactly where it should be. I give him that. And that's fair because that's where I was. Because neighborhood associations do not force you to think any further than
the neighborhood.
Not only the neighborhood. When I was in the neighborhood association, I wanted a damn sidewalk. But you know what? At some point, I evolved. Hell with the sidewalk. I want to know who's gonna form it up. I want to know where we buying the concrete from. You with me? Where we gonna buy the gravel from? And I want to know who's gonna put the concrete in there. Now, when we created that Office of Reentry, the thing that blew my mind was that we got $1.5 million to create an Office of Reentry, right? Now, did it become what we wanted? No. But dude, if I had stayed in neighborhood association, I never would have evolved to something like that.
Right.
Never would have.
Right.
Because neighborhood associations, their vision is limited to their street, their block, whatever their neighborhood association consists of.
I agree.
I was quickly kicked out, not shouldn't say kicked out, but I was quickly removed from the neighborhood association because at some point you outgrow it. Because you can't even deal with the simple-mindedness that they're talking with, because not everybody's that way, but most of them they're only thinking about
is their neighborhood.
Well, that neighborhood, but they're not thinking about all the issues. They're not thinking about unemployment.
Let me ask you a question about the point you made about evolving. Is this a seat that we need someone to be evolving in it?
Man, all of them are important. And the reason they're all important is because, okay, so every year, ADFA gets this money, right? And of course, the city of Little Rock gets this money. So let me take you back. Let me break this sum down real quick. So you got Quorum Court, you got the state, and you got the city of Little Rock. Those are our three forms of government in Little Rock, right? Quorum Court and the state, they don't spend a lot of money in the city of Little Rock. They spend money in rural areas. The Quorum Court and the state of Arkansas. The city of Little Rock is the only one that pretty much spends money in the city. You with me? So the only way we can get things done that we need done is that we have to increase the tax base. Well, pretty soon we're going to price ourselves out. We're going to price people out, especially black folk. We're going to price them out. They can't afford to live here anymore. Kind of like they do in other cities, right? They price you out by taxing you out. Okay, the reason this city is important is that, man, all the stuff that comes down, education, adequacy funding, very important, especially for districts like the Little Rock School District. Are they being properly funded to deal with the issues that the kids have, right? You start talking about adequacy funding. You start talking about these regulations they're putting on employment. about the what is it, the minimum wage. Yeah, man, that seat's really important because that impacts black folk.
Right.
Now, he said he worked with those organizations, and I think that's good work. Don't get me wrong, I think that's good work. But man, when you start talking about the fight for 15, when you start talking about housing, all these things, you can't say those things to me and not give me something substantive that you can do to make it better, right? Because I'll never come and say, hey man, I'm gonna send you to the moon. How you gonna send me there, Rob? Now I'm just gonna get you there because we're gonna organize. We're gonna get together,
right?
And come together and do it.
So let's take his argument about the getting home thing. Okay, that could have been better presented.
No.
Let me finish. It could
But
have
you
been.
gotta remember
We
gotta remember who the brother is. The brother's a lawyer. He's not gonna have the same mentality.
I understand that, but he's also a politician who wants my vote. And I'm gonna be honest with you. People right now that's lawyers and preachers, I'm gonna look at you with a jaundiced eye when you're running for politics. Let me finish my point, okay? So to better couch that argument, which is a valid argument, I think he took offense thinking that I didn't agree with what he was saying. The better couch that argument, the first thing I would have said is, first and foremost, we want to get you home, but more importantly, we want to make sure that we are putting officers on the street that are not violating your rights, that people can trust. Then on the other hand, we want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do so you can get home.
Okay, so
you understand what I'm saying?
I see what you're doing. So the thing is, Dave, you want him to do black speak, not white speak. I get that, Dave.
No. It has nothing to do with black speak or white speak. Fighting police brutality has nothing to do with black speak.
Hold on, Dave. So you're talking about a candidate running for a state office.
Right.
He ain't always talking to black folk.
Okay.
He raising money. So he ain't always talking to black folk.
But he needs black folks' vote.
Black folk ain't breaking him off no bread.
But he needs black folks' vote.
I wouldn't disagree.
You can't disagree.
He needs the black vote, but that don't matter. He can buy it. If he raises enough money, he can buy the black vote.
Okay, but he ain't raising any money. Enough money.
Hold on, Dave. The thing here is what you got to remember is that when you got a candidate who's raising money and he's running for state rep, he's got white speak and black speak, right? So what he just said to us in here, that's what he would have said if he was on the bus. We just got to have more responsibility. We just got to be more accountable, right? I understand that. I get that. I've done that before. It ain't very comfortable, but I've done it. I ain't gonna knock the brother for that. I understand that, right? But you got to understand that when you with black folk, you don't say we got to be more accountable. We need better police. I get that. I'm not gonna criticize the brother for that one. I'm not going to, because I understand what he's doing. Now, at some point, he'll get better with it. He won't do it.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just teaching him what I just said about addressing police brutality is not black speak or white speak. It's just fact. It's a valid argument. Okay.
Work for America to get their college debt.
So we're going too long in this because we're not trying to break down everything he says because I think he's a sharp young man.
I think he's a sharp brother.
Okay. And as I say,
if he lives in World War I think he should run.
Hey, there you go. But as I said, I just simply, I'm tired of people getting in these offices who don't know what's going on. We in the black community have had too much of that. And it is incumbent upon us, particularly what we do here on Black Focus Radio, is to ask those tough questions. It's not to attack him or any other candidate for that matter.
Right.
I like to think that we speak for the people of Little Rock, and based on our listenership, how it has grown over the last couple of years, I think they would agree. Okay?
Right.
So when you come on this show, Black Focus Radio, then you need to be willing to address issues from a black perspective. You're not on the Buzz or wherever else you're on. You're on Black Focus Radio.
I get that.
So I need you to come talking black. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
So that's all I'm saying. Now, look, I still haven't formed an opinion one way or the other on any of them.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm gonna vote for.
But
I'm really
again, as I told you last week, I thought he was the sharpest of them all.
I'm really torn. I don't really care about that. Like I said, I want somebody who knows what our problems is and gives me a roadmap.
Give you some
to
solutions.
fix it,
Right.
right? And show me how you're gonna get there to address the problem. And I just don't feel that we had that yet.
Not
I don't feel that.
from any of
Not
them.
from any of them.
From any of them.
I feel that their heart's in the right
Now,
place.
who's the other guy that's supposed to be calling?
H.O. Tyler, something like that?
Okay, so he may be listening. He may do that.
I doubt it. No, seriously, I do. I mean, because this is the thing. I mean, you haven't seen people out there. I mean, to Lee's for Lee, he hadn't been here. Ryan's been his stuff. Joey's been his stuff.
So Lee hasn't been here.
He hadn't been here.
So
it seems like he's been away at school.
Right.
He's
So
just got
again, do you really know the issues in Little Rock, considering that you haven't been here?
You know what? As a black man, I don't think that's irrelevant to me. Because if you're black in America, you know the issues.
Yeah.
You know them. You live them every day, right? I think you do anyway. Now, there's some people who don't live them every day, right? You don't have friends who live in them. You don't have friends who are in prison. You don't have friends who are unemployed. Not because they want to be, because they just can't find work, right?
Right.
I mean, you have to have people in your family who don't have jobs. You got to have people in your family who have been abused.
If he's black in America, I'm sure there's somebody in his
he's got it,
family
man.
who's-
If he's black in America, you got somebody in your family
It runs the
dealing with
gamut.
something, who's
It
dealing
runs the
with
gamut.
something
Yeah.
that people consider to be quote unquote black. I'm
Yeah.
throwing in my air quotes. That people consider to be black. So it's hard not to be.
Yeah, 855-525-5683 is the number. We appreciate Lee Miller coming by. We certainly want to get together and try to have this, have that debate. We'll see how we can pull that off after.
And I think we were really unfair to Lee because we went harder at him than any other candidate. And
But you know why?
I don't know if we would have went that hard at these other candidates if they would have held up. as
But-
well. So in the debate, in the debate, we going just as hard as them as we went.
Well, they'll all be able to answer the same questions. But you know why Lee got that type of treatment?
Wow.
Is because he has some type of substance. Okay? He had stuff that we could ask questions about. The other
Has
two,
stuff like what?
I mean, the criminal justice, economic development, all of those, he had points
Yeah, he did have
that we
points.
could
Now, I will
address.
give him that. I will
That's
give
what
him
I'm
that.
saying. It
Now,
wasn't
Ryan did the same thing.
but he didn't have.
Joy did the same thing.
Ryan did not have an agenda.
He talked about criminal justice. He talked about education, and I think that was it.
You know,
I can't remember.
Joy certainly didn't have an agenda.
Joy talked about education.
She talked about John Walker.
Stop.
She did.
She did mention John a lot. Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I'm just simply saying it wasn't. What I'm saying is that Lee should take that as a benefit for him because
Well, if he takes it for a benefit, get your game up, player.
That's my
Get in
point.
there- Get in there and learn yourself.
That's
how to
my
say-
point.
Because you talked a lot about city politics, and I think city, state, and county politics they are really intertwined.
yes, they are.
But you couldn't tell me one thing about the state politics, state policy, and there was some other stuff I wanted to ask him, but I didn't want to make it seem like I was because Ryan and Joy brought up education, so I didn't want to. I wanted to talk about what he actually brought up, right?
Right.
Because I didn't want to,
Right. But what I'm saying is that he had specific bullet
He
points
did have specific
that we
bullet
could
points.
address.
But the only thing is, I don't like that they were on his card. I couldn't look at him and say,
You know, that's a good point. So that's something that, it says, who is Lee Miller? I don't really care who you are. I just need one paragraph. Okay? I need to know what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Right.
well, the thing is that what we've done is, and this is just me. This is not everybody. Everybody's not like this, right?
I agree.
Most people just want you to be charismatic and you look good. And, oh my God.
Well,
he's dreaming.
therein lies the problem
That's the
of why
problem.
we're in the
But
disposition
for
where we
me,
are today.
I need a candidate I need a candidate who knows, because you can't expect our communities to get better if we're constantly electing people who don't know a damn thing.
And that's my point.
And that's what we keep doing. We keep electing the person who is the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the person who's the most popular is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, great example is Doris Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Doris Wright did, and this is the thing. This is I'll give you one example of someone not being prepared to be a city director. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So during 2009, they were talking about the budget. Okay. So Brad Kazort, who was a Ward 4 city director, He made it because they were having budget restraints, and so they were like, hey, we got to find some money for First Tee because First Tee's having problems, right? So Brad Resort makes a motion. He says, we want to raise all the fees at the golf course and all the public courses $1. Okay, raise all of them $1. 50 cents goes to golf course maintenance, and 50 cents goes to First Tee. You dig that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, your girl Doris Wright. Oh my God, she was livid. I can't believe y'all ain't gonna get no money to the black folk. Make a motion. Then it's $1.25, and you get the quarter. Make the motion. That's what I'm sitting there screaming to myself. Make the motion. Mm-hmm. Don't do this. Make the motion. Sorry. And
quit beating on my desk.
My bad, dog. My bad. And can you turn my mic back up? I can't hear myself speak. And I like hearing my voice. Okay, all right. There you go. I kept sitting there saying, make the motion. Make the motion. Make the motion to raise it to $1.25. You get the quarter. Make the motion. But you know what she did? She sat there for 10 minutes and was ignorant for no reason. Now, I truly believe that white people say, you elected her, she gets you whatever she can get you.
And that's my point.
All she had to do is raise it a quarter. Somebody, Dean Computers made a second, they voted on it, and she just said, well, tonight we learned that y'all don't care nothing about black kids. Mm-hmm. No, it ain't that you don't care about black kids. You just dumb.
You don't know how to legislate.
All you had to do is raise it a quarter. See, those are the things I'm talking about. That's how we get hurt. Because we put people there who don't know the process.
I agree.
Robert's Rules of Order, and that wasn't even a Robert Rules of Order thing. That was just a simple, let me add a quarter to this. Mm. You with me? I want to add a quarter to it.
Or say, hey, wait a minute, how can that affect my community? Our children don't play golf. How can we get? There's a number of ways she could have went about it, but again, your point with her is that's part of the problem with our black legislators, right. Not just here in Little Rock, but across this country, is that we need to start holding them accountable. He mentioned that.
But you know what's unfortunate? You can't really hold them accountable. Unfortunately, because they don't know, they didn't know nothing when they came, and then you put them there and they don't know nothing. So what you holding them accountable for? Nothing.
And then you vote them out. But anyway, let's
you don't vote them
on.
out. You keep putting them back.
I know. Therein lies the problem. 855-525-5683 is the number. A couple of things I want to talk about before we get out of here. I mentioned Kamala Harris, and there was a great article that came out yesterday, and I want to go in that. So let me just tell you why. I was going to talk about it a little bit yesterday, but last night I met a gorgeous young lady who was from Philander Smith, and she was going to law school, and she had worked on Kamala Harris's campaign. We had an interesting conversation, and she was a bit perturbed because she started espousing that America don't want to vote for women, and especially black women, and she started espousing white feminist mantras like, well, women makes 69% on the dollar as opposed to men. I said, is that white men or black men? She didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
They never do.
I said, so let me educate you, sister. Black men are making about 75% on the dollar as opposed to white men. Okay? So and I told her, I said, look, what annoys a lot of black men when it comes to black female politicians is that it seems to us that you all take up the mantra of white people and white women, and you totally ignore black men, and you think that we ought to just come along because you are a black woman. Okay?
Right.
And so she didn't like that. She was offended to some extent.
In this climate, you can't say negative things about women now because you can say whatever the hell you want to about black men.
Especially
you can't say anything about women.
Exactly.
Black women.
So that's precisely my point. Yeah. Is that it's okay to beat up on black men.
Oh, yeah.
But see, my argument to black females in politics and in general, when you start separating yourself from black men, then white supremacy has won, because that's been the goal from day one.
Well, how do you destroy the black family, right? You destroy the head. You destroy the head.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I decided that, this morning when I came in, I said, well, let me look up the wage gap by gender and race. Okay. Now, this last form came out in 2013. I'm sure there's something later, but I thought I'd just look at this one because it was important to see.
Right.
Okay. And it gives me it goes back, so it gives you a good idea. It goes back to all the way back to 1970. Okay. As far as the wage gap is concerned. So as far as white men is concerned, they make 100%. We know that. Okay?
Okay.
And I already knew this number. Black men make 75% on the dollar. Okay? Black women, by the way, who are the most degreed people of any ethnic group, black women, they make 69% on the dollar. So when you compare 75 to 69, that's negligible.
White women make 77%. Right?
Okay. According to this, now white women make 78%.
Yeah, white women higher than both, and then all of us than both.
Okay. So when
but we never have the conversation about being a collective unit and fighting for the.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what she didn't get.
They don't. They
You see what I'm saying?
You can't get it, Dave, because Dave, I keep telling you, you cannot live in white America and be black.
True.
You gotta be beige. You gotta hate yourself. You can't love yourself and be in corporate America.
Well,
They don't want they don't want that. You can't have that. You can't talk about black stuff and work in corporate America.
well, therein lies
like I
the
said,
problem.
you gotta say we need to do better in corporate America. You can't say, man, y'all need to stop dogging us.
So the other point I brought up to her, which she didn't like, I said, let me just be realistic to you, sister. I'm out here in the streets. I told her I do a show every day, and I hope she's listening. I invited her to listen today. She was on the way to Phoenix. And I told her, I said, whether you agree with it or not, a lot of people weren't going to vote for Kamala Harris because of who she's married to. That's black and white. Okay? You may not like that, but that's a reality. What's going on in politics? I was listening to a report this morning, and they said the number one issue in this election coming up, it ain't economic development. And for the first time, national media said this. They said it's race.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that though.
Exactly. That's the number one issue. Okay?
Yeah.
So when Democrats try to divide, see, here's what Democrats are doing. If I have an equal candidate, black male and female, Democrats is leaning towards the black female. Okay? We're seeing this. I don't mind, but I'm simply saying is that we need black males and black females to be elected to office.
No.
Okay?
I want to make sure I say this because I don't want anybody to forget it. I don't give a damn what your gender is.
I don't either, really.
I need you to be knowledgeable.
I need you to be black and knowledgeable.
I don't care if you're white. I don't care. I need you to be knowledgeable.
I need you to be
I need you to
black
know the issues of whatever community you're running from, and I need you to know how to get things done.
So, and I agree with that. So don't come to me simply because you're a black female and think.
Don't bat your eyes and think I'm gonna vote for you. Yeah.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
And I know people. I know Trey Sam about to call us now and say that was so sexist.
That isn't sexist because that's what's happening in a lot of these races.
And I will admit, I hate to say this, y'all. I have voted for people because I thought they were attractive.
Robert.
Yeah, I mean they didn't know nothing.
You voted for Bill Clinton?
I never voted for Bill
Oh,
Clinton.
okay. You didn't think he was attractive?
I did not find him to be attractive.
But you understand my point is that she was so frustrated because Kamala Harris had dropped out of the race. So I want to read a little bit of this article because, see, Kamala Harris didn't get it. Okay?
You got a lot of black people who don't get it.
Right. She didn't get it. And Kamala Harris wanted to dance in. She wanted to put on her black suit and say, hey, look, I'm black. Vote for me.
You black when it's convenient.
Bingo.
You got black folks who are black when it's convenient.
So
I get that.
So what this young lady didn't understand is that fact. Is that when you start examining her background, you realize that Kamala Harris touts blackness, but her policies were not black. Okay? Let me read a little bit of this, okay? Harris fell behind the curve over the past 15 years as the nation's sense of the scope and moral urgency of needed reforms to the criminal legal system. and especially to the role of an elected prosecutor, shifted dramatically. The shift revealed that Harris's brand of progressive prosecution was really just slightly less awful prosecution. A politics and set of policies that still meant being complicit in securing America's position as the world's leading jailer. As Attorney General, she weaponized technicalities to keep wrongfully convicted people behind bars rather than allow them new trials with competent counsel and prosecutors willing to play fair. One of them, Kevin Cooper, is on death row. Another, George Gage, will die in prison without intervention from the governor. In both cases, Harris had the power to change the outcome. She could have demanded DNA testing in Cooper's case. She refused. She could have conceded Gage's conviction was based on the prosecutor's decisions to suppress evidence that devastated the credibility of the sole witness against him. She didn't. Harris also failed to hold police accountable and prosecutors for misconduct in Orange County, where a sprawling jailhouse informant scandal has robbed countless people of their right to a fair trial. Her lack of meaningful oversight has contributed to a crisis of legitimacy that continues to upend the county's criminal justice system. One more. In 2015, when called upon by the Legislative Black Caucus to support bills that would have mandated that all police officers wear body-worn cameras and that the Attorney General's office investigate lethal officer-involved shootings, Kamala Harris declined, okay? She championed a law that went after the parents of chronically truant children and laughed when asked if marijuana should be legal, and supported a system that locks up people who are too poor to post exorbitant bail money. These policies were part and parcel of a system of mass incarceration that has deeply harmed poor and black people and communities of color. That's the thing that the young lady didn't understand. And she went as far as to call me a lie and say she did not lock up mothers.
But that's the thing, Dad.
You see what I'm saying?
Nobody does homework. Nobody does homework.
But here is a young black sister who is working in Kamala Harris's campaign, who doesn't even know her candidate that she's supporting.
And that's not surprising. You act like it's surprising. People don't know.
I'm glad she's gone. She wasn't going to get my vote. And I told the young lady that. And then she went on, before I said, I gave her the reasons why. And she, all that stuff that they're putting in the media is not true. Now, before I told her that I had been in the journalism business for 35 years, I listened to her.
But you shouldn't even have to do that. I mean, you know what?
You're right. She should have known by my conversation that this brother knows something about what he's talking about.
Not only that, I try to do my own due diligence on my candidates, right? If I like somebody, I do my own due diligence, right? But that's not the norm.
But don't turn around and say Kamala Harris, the reason she dropped out of the race is because of sexism and racism.
Well, so what happened with Obama? But no.
You know what?
For me,
I said, but wait a minute. Didn't Obama get elected?
But the thing,
you know what she said? Wait. You know what she said?
What?
But he was a male.
Well, see, already they're pitting us against each other.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying.
The thing for me is, at some point, somewhere, somehow, somebody's got to stand up and say, okay, listen. When they shoot a black boy, he got a black mama and a black daddy in most cases. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he might have a white mama or a white daddy, but usually he's a black boy. But he's always a black boy, right? Mm-hmm. We got to start saying, at what point do we come together collectively to fight for our rights overall? I mean, because man, think about it. We've been sectioned off, and until we own something significant that we can put black folks to work, it's not going to change, Dave. Because man, corporate America turns you into a graham cracker. Because if you want to stay there, you can't love black folk. You can't love them publicly. You can do it in private. Because I mean, even unfortunately, when I worked at the bank, I wasn't. I was black. I've always been black, but I wasn't this damn black. You know what I mean? You get blacker when you own your own stuff. You get darker because you understand the struggle even better.
Yes, you do.
You get blacker, man, because you be like, dude, y'all don't see what they doing to us?
It's real out here.
Yeah, it gets
It's
ugly.
real out
and then
here.
you get blacker, man. I think you get blacker because you're trying to navigate the waters and you realize how hard it is to eat out here. You're trying to make a check. It's not easy.
Yeah, it really gets real, and I think part of the reason that and back in this, it was Lyndon Baines Johnson who said, "Well, we got to give them jobs. That way they won't be marching in the streets."
Yeah, got something to lose now. And that's what you hear folks say. Oh man, I can't do that. I got something to lose.
Okay, so but you say you got something to lose, but you really don't have anything in the first place because
it ain't yours.
Right? Because at any time you could be pulled over by a police officer, and all of that stuff can go out the window very quickly.
I mean, I read something Malcolm X said. Malcolm X was saying, "Hey, y'all ain't free. Don't even think about that.
No.
You don't even live in your own house. You rent from somebody else. And the white folks say they're not gonna rent to y'all no more. Where you gonna live? If white folks say you can't work for them no more, where you gonna work?
If they said you couldn't come in their stores, where
you gonna go? But I mean, I don't think we think about that. I'm serious. I am down with segregation. I'm so down with it.
Hey, I've been
so down with it. I got white friends. I love them. I want to hang out with them sometime. Want to drink a beer with them. Want to laugh and joke with them. I want to do that, right? But I ain't mad at you if you want to go to your community and hang out with your white folks, and I go to mine and hang out with my black folks. I ain't mad at you.
I remember when I first went to Atlanta, when I first moved to Atlanta back in 1987. And, it was just amazing to me. The black folks. Now, this was before it became the gay metropolis of the South.
Right.
Okay? But to just drive down Peachtree and see them black brothers carrying briefcases. And I was still a young cat then. I was, about 25. I was still just developing who I was becoming. But to see those black brothers walking down Peachtree or wherever I went with those briefcases, to have those nice cars, to go in and apply for jobs, and I'm talking to a black human resources manager.
Yeah.
Man, that is empowering.
Yeah, it is.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is.
And that's what we need to start thinking about, because I felt, look, I don't have problems with interviews anyway, because I could go get jobs others couldn't. I've been the only black at a lot of white establishments. Right. Okay, so that was not a problem to me because I've always spoke well.
You're a good
okay,
Negro. You speaks well, Negro.
I've always spoke well.
You speaks well.
Okay, don't look.
You's a good Negro.
Don't get me ethnic on you.
You's a good Negro. Go ahead, make it.
I remember my hood. Okay, my hood is still in there.
I think you've lost your connection to the black community.
That's what you think. But to go to Atlanta to see that, and that's part of, I think that's when I really began to formulate my rites of passage camps. Because what I do with those camps is I bring professional black people for those young people to see. I don't bring any athletes. I don't bring any, if I brought an athlete, that meant that they had already stopped playing whatever sport they were playing, and they had launched a business. Right. And we focused on the business, okay? Because I felt like our children need to see black doctors. My two main doctors, my oncologist, my orthopedic oncologist, is a brother. My neurologist, he's a brother. That makes me so proud. So when I go in those examination rooms, we talking noise. We talking black.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We need more of that. And what I'm simply saying is that if we're going to move this forward, we need black people to come home. It's kind of like what Ghana is doing.
Yeah.
We want y'all to come home, bring that knowledge home.
But Dave, we also need I want us to have our own black community. And that's what I'm trying to create.
But that's what I'm saying. If they come home, then we create that community.
Because again, the thing that gives me the greatest satisfaction.
And again, this is the only city I've lived in that is not a black community.
Yeah. Well, University Park is considered a black community.
Well, those are just houses.
Yeah, it's considered black.
I'm talking about where there were shops, where you could go eat. You know, where you could spend a whole day in the black community.
Well,
I love that.
So again, I think it's important that we look at how those areas were developed. And if you think back, I mean, now as you drive down Barrow, right? Now you drive down Barrow, you see, you got the chicken wing place, you got the laundromat, and you got the Mexican place now across the street. You got the liquor store, but that goes back to how communities are developed, right? Because people put there what people will attend or what they'll patronize. And so some stuff people just won't patronize, so you can't put it there.
Well, I'm just simply saying, and by the way, I want to show you, look at Tanya's Charlie Brown Christmas tree. LaTanya, that's just simply...
You gotta do something.
That's just simply pathetic.
You gotta do something.
That damn turkey tree was better than that, LaTanya.
You gotta do something else too.
But, you know, it is our responsibility to develop our neighborhoods. We've seen now, as I've said about our schools, and I'm like you, Robert, I'm all for segregation. I've already said, hey, we need to pull our kids out of these schools. If I had my
hold on, I need to be clear, though, because I think people get me twisted. Segregate me, but give me my damn money.
Oh, no doubt about that.
I need my money to come with me.
Look, long as I'm equal, long as you paying me.
We ain't got to be equal. You know why we ain't got to be equal?
Why?
Because there's more of us over here than there is over there.
Exactly.
We ain't got to be equal.
Exactly.
We ain't got to be equal.
I agree.
Nah, just give me mine.
But they're thinking about segregation as it was in the 60s. I'm talking about whereas that we build our own. Look, I'm going to tell you, when I was in Atlanta that first year, and I'm going to tell you what really helped. A sister from New York. I never met anyone the first year I was there that was from Atlanta. And you know what she did to me?
What?
She had already lived in Atlanta for 2 years, and everywhere she took me was a black business. And she got to the point, she really educated me. She got to a point where she would walk in the building, she would walk in the door, and she'd see something she'd like, and she'd look at the clerk and say, is this a black-owned business? And if they said no, she says, no offense, but I only spend my money with black people. And she would walk out. And when she first would do that with me, I was like, oh, girl. But then, after we did that for so long, I began to get it. And part of the reason Atlanta thrives is because a lot of people have that mentality. So we can fix our own problems. We just have to we have to just do it, in other words. But anyway, we've got to get out here. Good show. Really appreciate Lee Miller for coming in. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. As soon as we get some details on if we're going to get this forum, we will let you know about that. Because we want to get all 4 candidates on and let them respond to one another. Okay? Let's ask them the different questions, the same questions, and see how they respond back and forth to one another.
Yeah, I think we need to go ahead and get go ahead and get our debate set up so we can figure out how we're gonna lay it out, format it, the whole nine.
No doubt about it.
We're gonna do it 2 hours or 1 hour.
Let's do it the whole. If they can stay the whole 2 hours, let's do the whole 2 hours.
That's gonna be a good debate then.
Yeah, let's do the whole
real
2
debate,
hours.
not one of them crappy.
Right.
You say something, I say something. No, we're not doing that old crazy stuff.
We're gonna ask questions and let them respond, and then respond back to one another on that issue.
Right.
That's a debate. Okay.
Right.
And of course, we want to make sure that our listeners will be able to participate by asking questions as well. So we'll let them do that via Facebook or whatever the forums that we're on. Okay. All right. You ready for your quote today?
I'm always ready to play.
Okay.
Don't play with me.
All right. Go ahead.
We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. My man, Malcolm X. Hey, spend money in your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
This quote is by H.L. Mencken. He was a writer in 1920 for the Baltimore Evening Sun. Here's what he said. And by the way, this was written on July 26, 1920. As democracy is perfected, the office of the president represents more and more closely the inner soul of the people. On some great and glorious day, the plain folks of the land will reach their heart's desire at last, and the White House will be occupied by a downright fool and a complete narcissistic moron. That's deep.
That's like art imitating life, right?
In 1920.
In 1920, dang, that's like, yeah.
All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget Black Focus Radio, the Friday edition. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Good job, dog. Good job, dog.
Good.
I'm out.
Got
So
up
what
to
did
got
you-
up to 40.
We got the 40 today?
Mhm.
That's cool. How many, when does
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on Joynet Radio.